Welcome to the No Limiter Podcast, where we interview top business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators in every industry to help you set record-breaking months. Here's your host of the No Limiter Podcast, Regina Eileen Woodard.
Hello, you are listening to the No Limiter Podcast. I am your host, Regina Eileen Woodard. For all the listeners and all the people that's going to be watching this podcast, this is one of the best interviews that I will ever do. Why? You'll find out why by the time we're done with this podcast. But if you're listening on my different stations, on Apple or my different podcasts, you will know that this person, when she walks in a room, she commands attention. When you walk into a room, you just do not have to walk in the room and open your mouth. But if you're the caliber of person that she is, when you walk in that room, the room automatically lights up. I got a chance to meet her last December for the second time, but I'm sure the first time she did not remember meeting me, right? But the second time when she met me in Miami, Florida at NAMAD, I got a chance to actually say, hi, my name is Regina. I saw you on Wokan Automotive, right? No, it's Wokan, correct?
Okay, yes.
Wokan. And she was just giving us a little spiel of her background. So this is Mrs. Jenell Ross. You thought I was thinking about Diana Ross when I was going to say Jenell Ross. That's why I hesitated, because I started thinking about Diana Ross and I wanted to start singing, but she didn't come on the podcast to sing with.
And you definitely don't want me to.
Right. All right. Yeah. So I am talking today to Mrs. Jenell Ross. She is the president of Bob Ross Auto Group in Centerville, Ohio. She's held this position since 2010. She is the company's Mercedes-Benz first Afro-American dealer owner. Let me just say that one more time. She is the first Afro-American dealer owner for Mercedes-Benz, but she also owns a Buick GMC store in Centerville, Ohio. But I'm not done. She is also a second generation dealer owner. Now you're probably saying, Regina, what does that mean, being a second generation? Well, let me tell you, that means that her father owned the business before she did. And she took it over in 2010 as being the president, but she's always been involved in the business her entire life. Welcome to the No Limiter Podcast, Mrs. Jenell Ross.
Thank you. Glad to be on with you, Regina.
Thank you. I want to first say thank you very much. And, I don't know where you were 30 years ago or 25 years ago, but, this opens up a new arena in my life, because for you to have allowed me to step in your life by interviewing you, and I'm actually getting myself started with my podcast. So the woman of your caliber to give me a chance, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your time today.
No worries. You are welcome. And I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you. So I know how you got started in the car business, but can you give us a brief summary of, how you got started?
Sure. So like you said, I've had the opportunity to grow up in the automobile retail side of the business. My dad became a dealer when I was 4 years old. And that is 48 years ago. So you can figure out how old I am today. So always had the opportunity to come to the dealership, be involved. It was very much an integral part of our family in terms of discussions and family time. And obviously, as I got older, when I had the opportunity to have a special project at school or to write a paper, I always tried to focus something on the automobile industry to give me the opportunity to learn. So as I continued to do that throughout high school, into college, realized that I really did want to be a part of this fascinating industry. So after graduating from Emory University in Atlanta, I came back to Centerville, which is a suburb of Dayton, Ohio, to work with my dad full time. I am very appreciative of that time frame because unbeknownst to me, about 5 years later, my father passed and I was 27 years old And that's when I was thrust into the day-to-day operations of running our organization. So that was something that definitely wanted to become an automobile dealer. Did not think it would happen in the form or fashion that it did, as well as at the age that I was at the time, which was 27 years old. This July will mark the 25th anniversary of the passing of my father, and for me, being thrust into that role. And for that, I'm very grateful to have the opportunity that I've had.
So I'm gonna just veer off a little bit of the questions that we already have in order, if that's okay.
That's fine.
But 25 years you said 25 years in July, right?
For me, running the business.
Yeah, running the business.
But 48 years total.
So 48 years total, 25 years. What made it so special? Because you know how you're in a business, but when you actually push to the forefront to actually make a decision and to actually start running it, who helped you after Dad passed?
Well, my mother became the president of our organization, and my brother and I both became co-vice presidents. So fortunately, we had a lot of senior, when I say senior, in terms of tenure, managers that were involved, that were a part of our organization, and a lot of long-term key personnel. So with them, along with other friends and colleagues and mentors that became mentors to me in the business, as well as from the manufacturers that we represent, they were a great asset to our team to help facilitate us getting through that transitional period. So during that initial 18 months, I also went to the NADA Dealer Candidate Academy and graduated from there, which allowed me the opportunity to really learn the different aspects of running each department of the business, as well as the business as a whole. So I was very fortunate and very blessed to be in a great situation with having a lot of other auto dealers, friends of my dad's, friends of our family that were willing to step in and help, as well as the manufacturers to see the potential in us not to make a change or wanting us to make a change. So for that, I'm very grateful.
To be a second generation dealer right now and to be able to have it survived, because you survived when the big three, no, actually General Motors, Chrysler filed the bankruptcy and General Motors didn't. So you survived that time, and then you survived COVID. So your dad had to build a solid foundation, solid. Yes. Not just in Ohio, but around the world. Because to have suppliers, to have different people and that own dealerships and employees to be able to stick with you, that tells a lot. Because doing my homework on you, it looks like it was a lot of longevity with the people that actually work for you.
We do. In fact, I just retired the last two managers that worked under my father last summer. So one was with us 26 years and one was with us 43 years at the entire time we've been at this location. So, I mean, it definitely is a testament to him. I still feel that I'm filling the boots, not shoes of him, even 25 years later. And we're still very fortunate to still have a lot of employees that were here 25 years ago or longer working a part of our team.
So I'm hearing all these great things. And then no matter whether it's always great things, but there's always obstacles, things that get in the way, and things sometimes that you can't actually, with help, you can help someone, you can move things out the way. But what are some of the obstacles that you face starting off in the business? Well,
I mean, you have to remember, I was a 27-year-old African-American female now walking into an automobile retail dealer meeting. So, there still aren't as many minorities today, specifically African-American and specifically women, that are automobile dealers. So unfortunately, you do stand out. So, but I had the opportunity since my parents would always have us attend different meetings, I did have some relationships and knew certain people, which made that a little more, bearable at the time. But yes, always received a lot of questions. Was I, could I tell them where the restroom was? I was like, I don't work, or, what time the meeting starts, or just different entities. And people would think that I either worked for the travel company that set up the meeting, or that I worked for the manufacturer, for the dealer meeting that I was representing, which there's nothing wrong with working with Mercedes-Benz or General Motors. So some people did have, and they still do, they are surprised that, an African-American female can be in the room like they can. In fact, I just came back from our GM meeting and felt that I had to explain all over again to certain people who I was. They just weren't as familiar. So it still happens today.
You should have said, you know what? You don't know who I am? Then I'm sorry. You're lost. Google me.
It's very interesting because by the time I have, you're finished with that initial conversation with them, every time I see them again, they never forget. And they're always reaching out to me. And half the time I'm like, and who are you again? So, I just feel it's a part of educating someone that doesn't look like me, that I can do what they do and probably do it even a little better.
Yeah, well, a lot better. I'm actually in Michigan. How far is Centerville? You ever been to Michigan?
Oh, I'm in Detroit all the time.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
So when are you coming to Detroit again?
Probably in about a month or so.
Okay. I need to get in your inbox because I want you just allow me to take you to lunch or allow me to do something.
Okay.
For all the listeners out listening, but that means that she'll have to give me her cell phone number. So I have to make sure I build up some trust between now, some real trust, right? Between now and then. But, I'm looking forward to that, to taking to one of our finest restaurants.
There are several.
She's several. So I can only go to Burger King. So can we eat at Burger King?
We can go wherever you'd like.
See, you know what? See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So from when you got in the business, you told your age, right? We're not going to say the number. So if you go,
I'm good. I'm 52. So I'm
okay.
fine.
Okay. Wow.
A lot of people don't make it to 52. So I'm good with that.
Wait a minute. As I say, 52, where? Where?
52
on paper.
All over.
On paper. Not
all over.
Not all over. Just on paper. So let me just say this. I know in the beginning, before we start recording, Ms. Ross said, well, excuse my hair then. I said, well, what do you mean excuse your hair? You have that good hair. You have that good Afro-American hair where she can slide her hair back and still look good. Like me, I would have had to put a hat on, put two hats on, and then I would have been ready to go. But
well, thank you.
You are very welcome. So I remember when I got in the automobile business 24 years ago, 1998. And when I actually went to college, I didn't think about the automobile business. And I was very competitive because I played basketball and then now I'm in the car business. So I treat basketball, I treat selling cars like basketball because I always wanted to be the top. Whatever I do, you probably maybe sold more cars than I did, but, probably that's fine. But, maybe I might have the highest gross at the store, right? So, but anyway, by me saying that is what has changed with the automobile business now? What is changing now in the automobile business?
Wow, there's so much change that's happening now. I mean, in regards to the electrification that we're all adapting to, regardless of manufacturer, all manufacturers are looking to add electric vehicles to their models in terms of different segments. So everyone's trying to get up to speed making sure that they're bringing the right vehicle to market, as well as for all of our staff to make sure that in our teams that we really understand what it is to have an EV vehicle and how that is going to change the trajectory of the automobile business. I mean, there's been billions and billions of dollars spent around electrification. And so that's with us making sure that we have proper infrastructure to install the charging stations for the amount of power that's needed based upon the models that are coming to market with the different brands we represent, as well as the digitalization of things that's really taken, a drastic leap as a result of COVID. So it's let us all know that we can do things like this in terms of podcasts a lot more effectively, or Zoom meetings before. But then what has that done for automotive retail is really has stepped up the game and elevated that customer may not have to come into the dealership. They may not have to come and speak to Regina directly in order to facilitate the vehicle that you want to purchase. So it's really the last couple years in terms of the change that we've experienced in our industry truly outweighs the amount of change in decades prior. For that matter, a lot of things were a little more systematic, and you were able to, look at trends and see what things were really happening. But with all of this, that's really been a lot, obviously been spurred by COVID, has just given us a new opportunity to look at how we conduct our business, who we bring into our business, who may be interested in our business, especially with the electrification happening.
It's funny how, well, let me just say this, COVID is not funny for what happened to the world, but it got us, it had individuals, companies, people just thinking of different ways of doing business and different ways of getting to know business, getting
Correct.
to know people.
Correct.
And one great thing from what happened to the world is that we came up with a better way to communicate. We came up with a better way to meet people, because I know before COVID, I was not going to be in your inbox saying, hello. I just wasn't going to be I wouldn't have gone to your inbox on LinkedIn and made a comment. I just wouldn't have. And, because of that, it has also had the format change with the automobile business where, we're instead of making more cars, I know that I'm being told, by my dealer owner that, and what I'm reading, that they're going to be making less cars. Is that true? Is that what because I know you're in the meetings.
Well, obviously right now, everyone is at a deficit for inventory. So regardless of franchise or manufacturer, we're all hurting and wishing that we had more inventory, but some of it is out of the control of what we can do because of the supply chain issues. I do think that the manufacturers have realized that they will not have to make as many vehicles to have just sitting, because we are having to educate the consumer on really figuring out what they want, which can be done a lot more digitally than what it could before. And pretty much what's coming in is being sold and turning quickly and going right back out. So, I think there will become an even or a better balance. Naturally, we're not there just yet because of the supply chain issues, but I'm hoping that, by 2023 or in 2023, that we can definitely be in a little better situation, because it's really, really tight right now for most of us. But we all know that it's not going to go back to a plethora of vehicles just sitting on your lot.
Well, you answer these questions so well. Okay. All right. My next question is, what do you think the fate of the automobile business is right now? When I say fate of the Carvana, the Vroom, now these companies weren't even thought about 10 years ago, 8 years ago. Maybe they were in the back room trying to figure out how they were going to do it. But now they're trying to take over. And basically they're saying, or what people that work for Carvana or the people that are top at Carvana, basically they're trying to push everybody away from the dealerships. And they're just trying to go direct with the customers. What is your fate on that?
Well, it just lets you know where the opportunities lie, and people wanting to get into this wonderful, industry in terms of automotive. But it's also interesting to see, even with the growth of Carvana and purchasing, through car and with the Odessa auctions to help them try to acquire more vehicles, but they're in the process of laying off a lot of their employees.
2,500. They laid off 2,500.
So, I think one thing that has still been very interesting is that the retail model, in terms of the dealership and the dealer, has continued to withstand the test of time. So, it was, maybe a decade or 15 years ago that, there was not going to be a need for the dealer. And even with the CarMax and AutoNations of the world. So, we've stood the test of time with that, and will continue to stand the test of time. Now, is it allowing new opportunities and new ideas and making us think about our business differently? Yes. But is there a way to utilize some of the platforms that are out there to better help us in being more successful and efficient in the long run?
When I think about Carvana and I think about Vroom, I do a lot of videos on my TikTok, and then I take them to my Facebook Reels. And I try to do I do my research on, what people are searching for. and what they have questions on, or what's hot right now. And everything that what's hot, what people are thinking, are really not hot to us in the automobile business. And when not only did they lay off 2,500 employees, like 12% of the people that actually work for the company, in my videos, I say, how are you going to go? You get this convenience of getting your car dropped off in front of your house. But what do you do after you buy the car? Service. Where are you going to go for service? And then if you have an issue with the car and you bought the car from the dealership where you're getting this service, you should build that relationship, not just with the salesperson, but with the service advisor.
Correct.
So that you can actually, if there's a problem with your car, they'll be honest with you. You'll build a rapport. And with these other companies, Carvana and Vroom, you're not building a relationship. It's just a drop off, and then they're done. So people, I mean, in my videos, I'm trying to teach my audience that it's about building relationships. It's not always about convenience for you right now. It's not about right now. It's buying the car, but it's after the sale.
Correct.
Because, and in my videos, when I'm talking, I'm like, what? The most important person in the dealership to the owner, and I guess I can ask you this question, right? So the most important, well, let me just make this comment, then you tell me, you answer it for me. So in my videos, I always say the most important person in the dealership is, to the dealer owner, is the finance manager. And the reason I say that is because the finance manager is the person that actually gets the dealer his money on the car. Even though the salesperson is important, but the one person in my eyes is the finance manager. Most important person. I don't know. Did I catch you on the spot? Do I need to take back that question, even though?
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm just listening.
I mean, when you look at the dealership, let me rephrase that question. The most important person to me when I'm thinking of a dealer owner is the finance manager. But when you think about going from A to Z, you think about, you need the salesperson to not only sell the car, but now today, people may shop 5 or 6 stores, but they're buying from the person. So when you buy from the person, you have to have that aha moment, right? The aha moment where that customer is, you bought that customer to the dealership. And you don't have to answer the question if you want to. I just wanted.
It's actually gone down from the 5 or 6. They're saying that people are only visiting actually like 1.2 dealerships. So I still try to figure out how you get to the 0.2 if you don't. I mean, I don't know, but they're saying that it's all the data is showing that someone is physically coming to 1.2 dealerships to look for a vehicle because they've done so much research online and been able to narrow down their selection process. Whereas, a few decades before, you would have had to come in to do all of your research and then going to all the different stores. And the finance manager does play an integral role in the process. But the other thing that really holds true is, the service department is really, the sales department sells the first vehicle. The service department keeps them as a repeat customer in terms of coming back. So there has to be that relationship, not only from the sales end of the finance manager, but bringing the service department into that equation. And something that I always share with new people when they come on board with us, or even when I'm having a conversation, is that there's no one person in any of these 3 buildings that can do their job 100% on their own, including myself. It takes more than just, even though you're a salesperson selling the vehicle, you have to have someone from detail to get the vehicle cleaned up. Service, it had to be prepped to make sure everything was okay. Finance manager has to do their job of taking care of the paperwork. A lot attendant had to make sure that the car was gassed up. So there's all these different factors that would play in. So that's when I asked someone, I was like, if you can do everything in your job 100%, I really like to know who you are, because I haven't met them yet. I still see it as a fluid relationship, especially on the service end, because that's who sells the second car.
You know what? You are absolutely correct. And I know early on in my career, I realized, because I remember when I first started in the business and in 1998, I remember, we worked 5 days a week. It was no Saturday. And I worked
You
for
all only had 2 evenings. Yes, you all
right,
had it
exactly.
made. Yeah.
And then, but you guys are open to 7 every day, right?
We used to be open till 8, and we've
Oh.
always been open 6 days. Actually, we used to be open till 9 back in the day, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. So yeah, you all have it made.
Well, you know what? But so we used to be open.
Correct.
You used to be open to 9. Yeah. Well, back before COVID, we were open Monday and Thursday to 9.
Right. You just had
8.
2 days. I know.
Right. And you guys had 4?
We were Monday through Thursday.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes, we are in the retail business. You all are just in the business. No.
Oh, that was
joking. You know, I have several Michigan dealer friends, and I always just like to let them know that they have a part-time schedule, but that's okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I remember again when I first got in the business in 1998. I'm just repeating what I just said. But anyway, and I remember because I was just starting, I didn't have a customer base. Nobody knew who I was. And I remember 3 days a week, I was in service. You know, we had our sales meeting every day. You know, I work for a dealer. I think he's still living. He's like 89 now. But we had our meetings 5 days a week, 8:30 in the morning, right? To get us ready for the day. Yep. But, you know, I would tell him, I don't need anybody to get me ready for the day, because as soon as I wake up, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go as soon as I put my foot on the floor, because I'm thinking like, I know that I need to get ready to pay my bills for the month, the next month, the year, and then I need to get that repeat business. So when I was in service 3 days a week, I built a relationship with customers that actually already had salespeople, but then I respected them because, you don't want to steal nobody's business, but I created my own business. Correct. Where they would go to their own salesperson, but because I was that extra, they sent me their friends and family. And then I started developing other relationships with other people. It's all about networking and building your own brand. Yes. And so what I do today is, we have 5 service advisors, and I have 2 that my favorite, actually 1 that's my favorite. And so, after my customer buys the car, because 60 to 70% of my customers have Bruce Credit. I built the brand to be the queen, to help you through the process with Bruce Credit. And so every time after the sale, what I do is, if service is closed, I have that card. I say, you know what? This is my guy. His name is Steve. Here's his direct line. You got any issues? Call him. But if you have any issues that if you can't reach him and you want to just bounce it by me, you want to have a conversation with me and you can't get a hold of him, then call me. But he has built the relationship with my customers is that they trust him on the engine side, up under the hood. Correct. Because the customer is not important and you don't take care of them in service. Like you said, that's a second car, and they're going to sell them a second car for you. They're going to push that customer right back to the showroom because they visit the dealership more times on the service side than ever. Correct. So that gift card, that $75 gift card that I actually gave him a few weeks ago, I try to do that once a month for him. Right. And the reason I do it is because he thinks now he has other salespeople he has relationships with, but I'm the one that stand out. Right, I'm the one that's, what you need. You need thing extra, because when I least expect it on a rainy day, guess what happens? He's saying, Regina, you know what? I got somebody for you. Are you in the market for a new or used car? Whether you're in the Metro Detroit area or anywhere in the U.S., call or text me at 248-301-0461. And I go to work on getting you the best deal possible. That's right. We're delivered anywhere in the U.S. Call or text me at 248-301-0461. My last question is, what advice would you give a female, Afro-American female, or just any female that wants to get in the business at this time? Well, I would say it's an exciting time to be in our industry based upon the electrification and the digitalization of things that I alluded to before.
But, one thing that always rings in my ear that my mother always shared with me was, never let anyone tell you that you can't. You only know that you can, and never let someone stand in your way of what you want to do. So if someone is really interested in being involved in our industry, there's so many things to take advantage of to understand our industry more, as well as networking and really utilizing your network, and as well as reaching out in those uncomfortable areas of meeting other people that can help get you into the right place. I mean, the auto industry
right now, I'm talking to you. This was uncomfortable for a little while, but after the second time, we couldn't do the first one, right?
Right. No, I mean, and it's
so.
Things are changing. It doesn't necessarily have to be under the same retail hour models that we've had in years past. And obviously the pandemic has let us know that. I mean, we haven't gone back to being open till 8 o'clock, and, because of some of those things. So are we providing a little extra time for our team members to have to themselves or to their families? So, women are a true asset in our industry, because we're over 90% of the influencer when it comes, or the purchaser to buy a vehicle. And, to have that comfort level that another female would have is very important. And I always wish that we were able to have more female employees a part of our team, because it just allows for, diversity and to be more realistic of what the world is. But don't let anyone tell you that you can't. Just keep striving for what you want, and making sure that you're checking all the boxes that you're getting. If it's training, if it's education, if it's continuing, continuous ed, all those things play in. And as you know, Regina, I mean, we all still have to do training every month, every year, because there's something new, or to make sure that we're staying on top of our skill sets. And that's just a part of it.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you taking time out, but I also appreciate, I remember when I approached you, that was like stepping out of the comfort zone, getting uncomfortable, being uncomfortable. And, even I remember like the first interview we had the schedule was kind of different, and we were supposed to go, and I had to run to work, and I got more comfortable with the second one, and I'm so comfortable now. I'm like, the reason I say it's one of my best interviews, because I've never been this comfortable talking to a woman or a person of your caliber, because you made me feel comfortable,
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, and what I say to, if I go somewhere with one of my team members, if somebody says something to me and they say, well, where do you work? I said, I work at Bob Ross Auto Group. And they're like, well, wait a minute, that's not really what you do. And I said, well, I'm at work every day, and I am working. And they're like, yeah, but I was like, okay, but it takes all of us to make things happen. So, I'm not going to get anywhere by just saying, well, yeah, I own it, and that's just the way it is. So, I mean, I know what it's like to feel not wanted, and that I shouldn't be in the room. And I never want that to be for anyone else that's associated with me or around me, to feel what I have to feel on a regular basis, because it can be very uncomfortable. So it's, and for me, to be in a room with women, specifically minority women, is not the norm. So I welcome that and enjoy those opportunities.
So I see your that's a breast cancer pin
Yes.
on your, and as me doing my research, again, I'm going off script because my questions are supposed to be done, but I know that one more last question. I know I was going to end it, but I was paying attention to your pin, and I know your mom took over. She was the president of the dealers, and you took over. But I know your mom played a very important part in your life, where you have a major, I don't know if I should say marathon, but you have major things that you're doing with breast cancer awareness. Is that correct?
Correct. So my mother passed with breast cancer in 2010. And so we formed the Norma Ross Memorial Foundation. And so it is a foundation. And actually the pin, my goddaughters created Pink Ribbon Driven, so that we're driven to find a cure for the pink ribbon. So that's a trademark, a part of our foundation. And what we do is we've really been focused on the preventative side of the journey, to help those that with insurance, underinsured, no insured, have access to getting their mammogram, because it all starts with an initial screening. So we've been focused on education and awareness in that initial screening, so hopes of warding off the disease, of someone being diagnosed with breast cancer. And, we unfortunately have had a few that have been diagnosed, but they've been diagnosed early and are doing very, very well in their journey a year or a couple years later. And so that's really where the focus is in terms of donations that come in, obviously to help with the awareness and the education piece, but also with helping to fund mammograms for those that aren't in a position to afford them, as well as we help those ladies that are going through their journey. We've helped with expenses for their home, for their families, and we provide opportunities for helping them with just even navigating on where to go throughout their journey and post journey. So the other side of the foundation works. My mother was an elementary school teacher, so we do a lot of things in the community from an educational perspective with youth as well.
You know what? I didn't have enough time to just talk about that because I got you said send me you said I didn't send you my resume. I'm like, I know your resume because I did my homework and about everything. But one more thing, and I'm gonna close it up. How does your mom? I mean, your dad was running the business, and your mom. How does she raise the kids and be an elementary? How does she raise the kids and be a teacher at the same time? Because when you're going to school, I don't care what year you taught, you being mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, cousin, aunt, and you being a mother.
Right.
So when did she have time to do that?
She definitely made time. Her and my dad, by him having a lot of firsts in the industry, since they were in as a dealer since 1974, elementary education was her love. So that was something that she continued to do for a number of years. And, it was a blessing because, you had a mom that was a very good school teacher. And even when she retired and everyone would see her, they always remember her and she would always remember them, but she couldn't remember somebody she met yesterday, but she remembered somebody that she had in school like 30 years ago. Wow. Which is just a true testament of the type of person she is or what is, even though she's not here in the present with us. But I mean, my parents were definitely very philanthropic. They were both very engaged in all aspects of the community. And just, we're always there and willing to, push the envelope and try to overcome those obstacles that they were faced. So I think that's where I get a lot of my drive really from both of them, but definitely my mother, because she never stopped. Very community involved as well. And it's just something that how I was raised and continue today, and just very blessed to have them both as my parents.
Wow. Well, I see where you got everything from your mom and your dad. You were very blessed to have great parents that left a legacy.
Yes. And I
left a legacy, not on the world, not just in Ohio.
Right. No, it's true. And I don't take what I do lightly, and everything that I do is hoping that I'm continuing both of their legacies in the best way possible.
And you are, because you gave me a chance. You're on my podcast, and thank you for allowing me to enter your life. But also, let me just say this. I'm going to also be in your inbox on community service, the things you do in the community, to get some pointers, because my dealer is Joe Longhammer. I think maybe about 5 years ago, he actually, General Motors asked him, he got involved with the Pontiac School District, and we're in Waterford, and he's from Waterford. I mean, the dealership's in Waterford. He owns a Chevy store where I work at, and he has a Buick GMC store. Mm-hmm. And in the Pontiac School District, he's giving away a car every year. Okay. And because of sometimes individuals, they get $10,000 on the car. And it has been I know 1 year where the family couldn't afford to pay taxes on the car, and so he came up with last year that $10,000, he's going to give 10 families $1,000 who the kids who has the perfect attendance or close to perfect attendance in the Pontiac School District. And one of the ways how we're promoting that is, and when I say we, because it's a team thing, the Queen's involved with Joe, is that we do a commercial where we let people know that's on TV, and then we have a billboard. And then last week he was the keynote speaker for the graduation day.
Okay.
Not graduation day, but for the decision day for the high school students.
Okay.
And then, and we're doing some other things with the school district. And the second week in June, I sit down with the PR specialist for the Pioneer School District that's up under the superintendent. Okay. And we're going to put together a plan where he can be more involved. Of course, I'm going to be there too, but just being more involved with the Pioneer School District and just to let people know that, hey, this is what he's doing. And he just believes in giving back. That's and just looking at the things that you do, I know that you can give me some pointers on what we can do to be more involved in the community to make a difference.
Okay, I can do that. No problem.
All right. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. No worries.
All right. All right. Thank you.
All right. You have a great day.
All right, you too. Take care.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Limiter Podcast with Regina Eileen Woodard. Remember to subscribe and review the No Limiter Podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts and the No Limiter Podcast YouTube channel. Every listen and review helps to get this podcast out to as many no limiters like you as possible.